The conference room fell silent as Emma's heels clicked against the hardwood floor. My hands trembled as I tried to gather the scattered papers, knowing what was coming. 20 pairs of eyes fixed on me, and I could feel the pity radiating from my colleagues. This level of incompetence is unacceptable. Emma's voice cut through the silence. Phoebe, you've embarrassed not only yourself but our entire firm. I'm Phoebe, the younger Morrison sister, though sometimes I wonder if Emma and I truly share the same blood. Where she got the sharp angles and steel spine, I inherited our mother's soft features and, according to Emma, her tendency to dream rather than do. I can explain, I started, but Emma held up her hand. The Phillips case required basic due diligence. Instead, you missed a filing deadline that could have cost us everything. Her voice remained eerily calm. Fortunately, Omar caught your mistake before it became irreversible. Omar, standing near the door, offered a slight nod. Was that sympathy in his eyes? Hard to tell with the corporate sharks. Emma, it was one mistake, Nicole whispered from beside me. Everyone makes silence. Emma's command froze the room. Phoebe, clear out your desk. You're terminated, effective immediately. The words hit like a physical blow. 6 years of working under my sister's shadow, trying to prove myself, ended in this moment of public humiliation. You can't just, I started. I can, and I am. Security will escort you out. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. Our parents would be ashamed of you. The words escaped before I could stop them. Emma's face hardened, but something flickered in her eyes. Pain, maybe? It vanished so quickly I might have imagined it. Our parents aren't here, she said coldly, and their absence doesn't excuse mediocrity. I grabbed my laptop and walked out, head high despite the tears threatening to spill. Nicole caught up with me at my desk. This is wrong, she said, helping me pack. She's your sister, for God's sake. I laughed bitterly. Sister? Emma stopped being my sister the day our parents died. She became my boss, my landlord, my keeper, everything except family. What will you do? Honestly, I have no idea. I shoved photos into my box, including one of Emma and me at my college graduation. We were smiling then, real smiles, not the corporate masks we wore now. She controls everything, my job, my apartment, even my inheritance. Security appeared at my desk, and Nicole squeezed my hand. Call me later, okay? The walk of shame through the office felt endless. Whispers followed me to the elevator. As the doors closed, I caught one last glimpse of Emma watching from her office, phone already to her ear, probably calling her next meeting to order. Outside, the spring air hit my face, and I finally let the tears fall. My phone buzzed, a text from Emma. Rent's due on the 1st. Don't be late. I sat on a nearby bench, watching people stream in and out of the towering office building. How had we ended up here? After the car accident that took our parents 3 years ago, Emma took control of everything. The family estate, the trust funds, even my career path. I'm protecting you, she'd said. You need guidance. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was the failure she thought I was. But sitting there, something sparked inside me, a tiny flame of rebellion, of anger. My phone buzzed again. This time, an unknown number. Ms. Morrison, this is James Patterson from Riverside Legal Services. We're executing the will of your Aunt Riley Owens. Please contact us at your earliest convenience regarding your inheritance. Aunt Riley? I barely remembered her. Mom's eccentric sister who disappeared to Europe when I was young. But inheritance? A third buzz. Emma again. Dinner meeting tonight, 7 p.m. We need to discuss your future options. I stared at the messages, then at the building where my sister still ruled her kingdom. For the first time in years, I hit decline on Emma's invitation. No, I whispered to myself. Not this time. I stood up, grabbed my box of belongings, and started walking. Emma had always said I was too soft, too willing to bend. Well, even the softest materials can become steel under enough pressure. My phone kept buzzing, but I didn't look at it again. Instead, I called the number from Riverside Legal Services. Whatever Aunt Riley had left me, it was mine. Not Emma's, not the firm's, but mine. As I walked away from the building that had been my prison for 6 years, I felt something I hadn't experienced since our parents died. hope. Emma might have taken my job, controlled my life, and tried to break my spirit, but she'd forgotten one thing. I was a Morrison, too. And Morrisons don't break easily. The law office of Riverside Legal Services was only 15 blocks away. I started walking, leaving my old life behind with each step. James Patterson's office looked nothing like the sleek corporate environment I'd left behind. Cramped bookshelves lined the walls, and his desk was buried under stacks of papers. He adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses as he read through Aunt Riley's will. "Your aunt was quite specific about her wishes," he said, pulling out a thick envelope. "The house on Maple Street, along with its contents and a modest trust fund, goes to you." Maple Street? My heart stopped. That's where I live. Yes, the Victorian 3-story at 1247 Maple. He slid a photo across the desk, the same house Emma had been collecting rent from me for the past 3 years. There must be some mistake. I grabbed the photo with trembling hands. "My sister Emma manages all our family properties." James shook his head. "This property was never part of your parents' estate. Your aunt purchased it 20 years ago. She left explicit instructions that you, and only you, were to inherit it upon her death." The room spun. All those rent checks, all those threats about late payments. "When did my aunt die?" I whispered. 3 years ago." He checked his notes. "The executor of her will tried contacting you multiple times, but your sister informed us you were unavailable due to a family tragedy." 3 years, right when our parents died, right when Emma took control. My phone buzzed again. Emma's 15th call since this morning. I declined it. "What happens now?" I asked. "The house is yours, free and clear. Here are the deed and keys." He pushed them across the desk. "The trust fund provides for maintenance and property taxes. It's not a fortune, but it's enough to maintain the house and provide some security." I left his office in a daze, clutching the documents. On the street, I nearly collided with Logan, my childhood friend who lived down the block. "Phoebe, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I showed him the papers. His eyes widened as he read. "Holy shit," he whispered. "Emma's been charging you rent for a house you own?" "Apparently." "That's fraud, Phoebe, like actual criminal fraud." My phone buzzed again. This time I answered. "Where are you?" Emma demanded. "We need to discuss your situation." "My situation?" I felt a strange calm settle over me. "You mean how you've been collecting rent on a house I own?" Silence on the other end. Then, "Who have you been talking to?" "Aunt Riley's lawyer. Interesting timing, isn't it? Right after our parents died, when you took control of everything? Come to my office. Now, we need to handle this privately." "No." The word felt foreign, but good. "I'm done with private family discussions that somehow always end with you in control." "Phoebe, you're being dramatic. I was protecting you." "By stealing from me?" Logan touched my arm, pointing to a cafe across the street. I nodded and started walking. "It wasn't stealing," Emma said. "I was managing your assets. Assets I didn't know I had. We'll discuss this later, with lawyers present." I hung up as Logan and I entered the cafe. My phone immediately lit up with texts. "Don't do anything rash. Think about your career. You need me." Logan ordered us coffee and listened as I explained everything. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I don't know." I stared into my coffee. "Part of me wants to press charges." "But she's your sister." "Is she? Because sisters don't do this to each other." My phone buzzed with a new message, this time from Nicole. "Emma's going ballistic. Half the office heard her screaming at Omar about some house. What's going on?" I showed Logan the text. He grinned. "Sounds like the Queen's losing control of her kingdom." "Maybe." I took a deep breath. "But I need to be smart about this. Emma's still got connections, power, and you've got proof of fraud," Logan countered. "Plus, I'm guessing there are people at that firm who'd love to see her fall." He was right. I thought about Omar's sympathetic look, Nicole's quiet support, all the others who'd suffered under Emma's reign. My phone buzzed again, an email from James Patterson. "Ms. Morrison, given the circumstances, I feel compelled to mention that your aunt left additional documentation regarding your sister's actions. Please contact me if you wish to discuss." I showed Logan the email. His eyebrows shot up. "Looks like Aunt Riley knew exactly what she was doing." I nodded slowly, a plan forming in my mind. Emma always said I was too soft to succeed in law. And maybe it's time to show her that kindness and weakness aren't the same thing. I stood up, suddenly energized. I need to make some calls, starting with Nicole. Logan smiled. The student becomes the master? No, I said, gathering my things. Just a sister who's finally standing up for herself. As I left the cafe, I felt lighter than I had in years. Emma had taught me everything she knew about law, control, and power. Now it was time to show her what I'd learned about justice. You want to do what? Nicole stared at me across my kitchen table, her coffee forgotten. Turn the house into a legal aid center, I repeated. The first floor has enough space for offices, and I can live upstairs. And you want me to leave Emma's firm to join you? She laughed, but I could see the interest in her eyes. You've seen how many people get turned away because they can't afford Emma's rates. We could help them. Nicole leaned forward. This isn't just about helping people, is it? No, I admitted. But wanting revenge doesn't mean we can't do good along the way. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts. I know at least 3 paralegals who'd jump ship immediately, and... She hesitated. What? There's this guy, Damien. He runs a small practice focused on tenant rights. He's been looking for partners. My doorbell rang before I could respond. Through the window, I saw Emma standing on my porch. Our porch, I reminded myself. Back door, I whispered to Nicole. Text me later. She slipped out just as Emma started pounding on the front door. I took my time answering it. Finally, Emma pushed past me. We need to talk about this ridiculous idea of yours. Which one? The legal aid center or pressing charges for fraud? She spun around. Is that what this is about? Money? Fine. Name your price. It's not about money. I crossed my arms. It's about you lying to me for 3 years. I was protecting our family's reputation. You weren't ready. To know I owned a house? To make my own decisions? When exactly was I going to be ready, Emma? She paced the room, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood floors. You don't understand what it takes to succeed in this world. I've spent years building our reputation. Your reputation, I corrected, and now you're worried I'll ruin it. She stopped pacing. What do you want? I want you to leave. This is my house, and you're trespassing. Don't be childish. Security cameras, I pointed to the corners of the room, installed this morning. Would you like me to call the police? She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I waited until her car disappeared before calling Nicole. Coast is clear. Tell me about Damien. 2 weeks later, the sign went up. Morrison Community Legal Services. Nicole and 4 other former employees from Emma's firm had joined us. Damien brought his existing clients and an energy that made even the longest days feel manageable. We've got 10 new cases this week, he announced during our morning meeting. 3 evictions, 2 workplace discrimination, and 5 family court matters. Any conflicts with Emma's firm? I asked. Not yet, but... He hesitated. Word is she's losing clients. The Phillips case you supposedly botched? They switched to us yesterday. Nicole touched my arm. There's something else you should know. She lowered her voice. We have a mole in Emma's firm. What? Omar's been feeding us information. Apparently, he's not happy with how Emma's running things. I remembered Omar's sympathetic look the day I was fired. Why would he help us? Because, a voice said from the doorway, your sister's empire is built on sand. Omar stood there, looking decidedly less polished than usual in jeans and a casual shirt. Nice sign, he said, walking in. Mind if we talk privately? In my office, he got straight to the point. Emma's been cutting corners for years. Nothing illegal exactly, but ethical gray areas. The partners are nervous. Why tell me this? Because you're offering something we've forgotten about. Actual justice. He handed me a flash drive. Client lists, billing records, internal memos. Use it however you want. After he left, Damien found me still staring at the drive. You okay? I wanted to hurt Emma, I said, but this could destroy her. He sat across from me. Then don't use it to destroy her. Use it to help people. I looked up at him, struck by the warmth in his eyes. Is that what you'd do? I think you already know what you want to do. He smiled. The question is whether you're ready to do it. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Heard about your little project. Hope you know what you're doing. I showed Damien the message. She's not going to make this easy. Good things rarely are. He stood up. Come on, we've got clients waiting. In the reception area, a young mother sat clutching eviction papers. Her eyes held the same fear I'd felt under Emma's control. Hi, I said, sitting beside her. I'm Phoebe, and I'm going to help you. For the first time since starting this, I felt completely certain. Emma had taught me that power comes from making others feel small. But watching this woman's relief as we reviewed her case, I realized there was another kind of power, the kind that comes from helping others stand tall. The local news crew packed up their equipment as Nicole handed me a coffee. That went well, she said. A feature story on community legal services? Emma must be fuming. She hasn't responded to my texts in weeks, I said, straightening the papers on my desk. The interview had highlighted our recent victories: 3 prevented evictions, 2 workplace discrimination settlements, and a growing waitlist of clients. My phone buzzed. Omar again. These calls were becoming more frequent. Meet me at Riverside Park, 30 minutes, important. Nicole read the message over my shoulder. Be careful. Emma might have figured out he's helping us. That's why we're meeting in public. I grabbed my coat. Hold my calls? The park was busy with lunch crowds, but I spotted Omar easily, pacing near the fountain. He looked nervous. Emma's planning something, he said without preamble. She called an emergency partner meeting this morning. About? Your aunt's estate. She's claiming you're mentally unfit to manage the inheritance. My stomach dropped. Can she do that? She's got 3 psychiatrists ready to testify about your history of emotional instability and poor decision-making. He ran a hand through his hair. She's going after guardianship. That's insane. I'm running a successful practice, which she'll paint as a manic episode. He lowered his voice. But I've got a proposition. Half the partners want her out. With your evidence of fraud and my insider testimony, you want to help stage a coup? Think about it. You get protection from her guardianship claims, and I get managing partner. Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the air. Well, isn't this cozy? Emma stood there, immaculate in her charcoal suit, 2 senior partners flanking her. Taking meetings in parks now, Omar? She smiled, all teeth. How unprofessional. Omar straightened. Just getting some air. With my sister, interesting choice of company. She turned to me. We filed the guardianship papers this morning. For your own good, of course. Of course, I matched her smile. Did you include the part about collecting rent on my property? A simple misunderstanding. I'm sure the judge will understand I was protecting you from yourself. She glanced at her watch. The hearing's next week. Do clean yourself up for court. After she left, Omar gripped my arm. We need to move fast. I can have the partners ready to vote by Friday. No, I pulled away. I'm not playing her game. This isn't a game, Phoebe. She'll destroy everything you've built. Maybe. I started walking. Or maybe it's time to show her exactly what I've built. Back at the office, Damien was waiting with a stack of files. Heard about the guardianship claim. We've got options. I know what I want to do. I sat down. Remember that mother we helped last month? The eviction case? Sarah? What about her? Call her. And the Thompson family, the Ramirez kids, everyone we've helped. I want them all at that hearing. He smiled slowly. Character witnesses? Better. Real people whose lives were changed because I was unstable enough to help them. Nicole burst in. You need to see this. She turned on the office TV where Emma was giving a press conference. As her older sister, I only want what's best for Phoebe, she was saying. Her recent behavior has raised concerns. Damien muted it. She's trying to control the narrative. Then let's change it. I picked up my phone. Remember that reporter from this morning? The next few days were a blur. While Emma painted me as unstable on every news outlet that would listen, we quietly gathered our witnesses. Damien worked late into the night, preparing statements and documentation. Omar called twice more, pushing his coup plan, but I didn't answer. The night before the hearing, I found Damien alone in the office. Why are you helping me? I asked. This could hurt your practice, too. He looked up from his papers. Because you reminded me why I became a lawyer. He stood, moving closer. And because you're the strongest person I know. I don't feel strong. I admitted. I'm terrified. Good. He smiled. Use it. Channel that fear into fighting for what's right. His hand found mine, warm and steady. For a moment, we stood there, the weight of tomorrow heavy between us. My phone buzzed. Emma, finally. Last chance. Drop this ridiculous legal aid project, come back to the firm, and I'll withdraw the guardianship petition. I showed Damien the message. What are you going to do? He asked. I typed my response. See you in court, sis. Looking up at Damien, I felt that same certainty from our first case. Emma thinks power means having control over others. Tomorrow I'm going to show her what real power looks like. He squeezed my hand. We all are. Outside my office, I could see our waiting room full of clients' photos, real people with real stories. Tomorrow, Emma would learn that her kind of power couldn't stand against the strength of truth and community. The community center bustled with activity as we set up for our legal aid workshop. Emma's guardianship hearing was in 3 days, but I refused to let it derail our work. Damien was explaining tenant rights to a packed room when Nicole nudged me. She's here, she whispered. Emma stood in the doorway, looking out of place in her designer suit. The room fell silent as she walked in, her heels echoing on the linoleum floor. Don't stop on my account, she said, taking a seat in the back. I'm just observing. Damien continued his presentation, but I could feel Emma's eyes boring into me. After the session, she cornered me by the water cooler. Quite the production, she said, though I notice you're not charging anyone. That's the point of legal aid, Emma. The point is, you're throwing away your education on lost causes. She lowered her voice. These people don't need free lawyers. They need to make better choices. Like I did? I met her gaze. Following you blindly, letting you control my life? I gave you everything. You took everything, I corrected, and now you're mad because I found my own path. Sarah, our former eviction client, approached with her daughter. Phoebe? We brought cookies for the volunteers. Emma's lips tightened as Sarah's daughter hugged me. Thanks to Ms. Phoebe, we still have our home, the little girl announced proudly. After they left, Emma's mask slipped slightly. You really think this makes a difference? I know it does, but you wouldn't understand that. Because I'm the villain in your story? She laughed bitterly. You have no idea what I've sacrificed for this family. Before I could respond, Damien called me over to help with a client. When I looked back, Emma was gone. That evening, Damien and I worked late, reviewing case files for the hearing. The office was quiet except for the hum of the coffee maker. You okay? He asked, noticing my distraction. Something Emma said about sacrifices. I pushed away the files. I never asked why she became so controlling after our parents died. Maybe you should. It's too late for that. He moved closer, his hand finding mine. It's never too late for truth. The moment stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words. Then my phone buzzed. Omar again. The partners are ready, his message read. Say the word and Emma's out tomorrow. Damien read the message over my shoulder. Are you tempted to destroy my sister's career? I thought I was, but now... I looked around our modest office, at the thank you cards pinned to the wall. This feels different. Because it is different. He squeezed my hand. You're building something, not tearing something down. A knock at the door interrupted us. Logan stood there looking worried. You need to see this, he said, handing me a manila envelope. Found it while cleaning out my mom's attic. Inside was a newspaper clipping from 15 years ago. Local lawyer sacrifices career to save family firm. The photo showed a younger Emma standing beside our father. Read it, Logan urged. The article detailed how Emma had taken the fall for our father's mishandling of client funds, accepting a suspension rather than let the scandal destroy the firm. She was 20, fresh out of college. She never told me, I whispered. There's more, Logan said. Mom kept all the articles. Emma spent those suspended years working 3 jobs to keep you in private school. My phone buzzed again. Omar. Partners meeting tomorrow. Are you in? Damien watched me stare at the message. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about choices, I said slowly, and sacrifices. I typed my response to Omar. No coup. Find another way. You're showing mercy? Logan asked. No. I stood up, gathering my files. I'm choosing to be better than her. That's different. Damien smiled. So what's the plan? First, we prepare for the hearing. Then, I looked at the old newspaper photo of my sister. Then I think it's time for a real family conversation. My phone lit up with a text from Emma. Dinner tomorrow, just us. Please. For the first time in years, I saw the period after please for what it was. Not a command, but a request. Go, Damien said, reading over my shoulder. Some battles are won with swords, others with olive branches. I nodded, gathering my courage. Will you be here? After? He touched my cheek gently. Always. As I left the office, I passed our wall of client photos. Each face represented someone who'd needed help and found it here. Emma might have sacrificed her early career for our family, but somewhere along the way, she'd forgotten why lawyers exist in the first place. Tomorrow, I'd remind her. And maybe, just maybe, we'd both learn something about the true meaning of family and justice. The restaurant Emma chose was empty except for us. She'd rented the entire place. Classic Emma controlling the environment. She sat at our usual table, already nursing a glass of wine. You came, she said as I sat down. Almost didn't. I placed the old newspaper article on the table. Want to tell me about this? She stared at the yellowed paper, her fingers trembling slightly as she touched it. Where did you get this? Logan found it. 15 years is a long time to keep a secret. It wasn't relevant. You took the fall for Dad's mistake. Worked 3 jobs to keep me in school. Seems pretty relevant. The waiter approached, but Emma waved him away. That was a different time. When did it change? When did protecting me become controlling me? She took a long sip of wine. The day of the accident. The police called me first. Did you know that? I had to identify their bodies while you were still at that art show. Emma, Dad's firm was in chaos. His partners were circling like vultures. You were falling apart. Someone had to take control. So you did what you always do, sacrificed yourself to protect me. And look how you repay me. Her voice hardened. Starting a competing firm, stealing my clients. Your clients? I leaned forward. You mean like Sarah, who couldn't afford your retainer while facing eviction? Or the Ramirez kids fighting for their grandmother's medical care? Don't be naive. Pro bono work doesn't pay the bills. Actually, it does. I pulled out our financial reports. We're profitable, Emma, small but growing, and we're helping people. She started to respond when Omar burst into the restaurant, face flushed. Emma, we have a problem. He stopped short, seeing me. I didn't know you had company. Speak, Emma commanded. The Phillips case. They're filing a complaint with the Bar Association about the billing irregularities. Emma's face went white. That's impossible. Those records were sealed. They had help. Omar looked at me. Someone with access to our systems. You think I started. No, Emma cut in. This is your handiwork, isn't it, Omar? Finally making your move? Omar straightened. The partners meet tomorrow. We're recommending your immediate removal. After everything I've done for you, you've done nothing but rule through fear, he snapped. It's over, Emma. He left, leaving silence in his wake. Emma's hand shook as she poured more wine. Congratulations, she said bitterly. You win. This isn't what I wanted. No? Isn't this your perfect revenge? Taking everything from me like I supposedly took from you? I turned down Omar's coup offer. Twice. She froze, glass halfway to her lips. What? He approached me weeks ago. I said no. Why? Because destroying you won't fix us. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Emma, when did you last take a vacation? Have a real relationship? Live any life outside that office? I had responsibilities. To who? Dad's gone. I'm grown. Who are you protecting now? Her glass clattered to the table, red wine spreading like blood across the white tablecloth. I don't know how to be anything else, she whispered. Then let me help you. Like you helped me. By destroying my career? By saving you from it. I pulled out another document. Transfer of partnership. Omar doesn't have the votes without my support. She stared at the paper. What's the catch? Step down as managing partner. Take a sabbatical. Let someone else carry the weight for a while. And become what? A charity lawyer like you? Become my sister again. I finally caught her hand. Remember her? The one who worked 3 jobs to keep me in school? Tears formed in her eyes. The first I'd seen since our parents' funeral. I was so angry when you started your firm. Not because of the competition, but because you were succeeding without me. I learned from the best. I squeezed her hand. Even if the best lost her way. Her phone buzzed, probably the partners demanding answers. She ignored it. The hearing, she said. I'll withdraw the petition. Thank you. And the firm? Take the sabbatical. Find yourself. The firm will be there if you want it, but on new terms. She nodded slowly, then looked around at the empty restaurant. I really have controlled everything, haven't I? Start small. Maybe next time we can eat somewhere with actual people? A ghost of a smile crossed her face. Baby steps. Outside, Damien was waiting in his car as promised. Emma saw him and raised an eyebrow. He seems devoted. He is. She nodded. Good, you deserve that. We stood awkwardly, years of hurt and hope hanging between us. Lunch next week? I offered. In public? Baby steps, she repeated and walked away. Watching her go, I realized some victories don't feel like winning. They feel like the first painful step toward healing. The box of family photos sat untouched on my dining room table for 3 days before Emma finally came over. She looked different, dressed in jeans and a sweater instead of her usual power suit, hair loose around her shoulders. Nice sign, she said, nodding toward the Morrison Community Legal Services placard visible through the window. Dad would have hated it. Mom would have loved it. She would. Emma picked up a photo from the box, us as kids, gap-toothed and grinning. God, you were such a happy child. Until you became my warden instead of my sister. She flinched. I deserved that. Did you? I poured us both coffee. I've been thinking about what you said about the accident, about having to identify their bodies alone. Ancient history? Is it? Because you haven't taken a day off since then. She sipped her coffee, avoiding my eyes. Someone had to be strong. And someone had to be controlled? The words came out sharper than intended. I was trying to protect you. From what, Emma? From making my own choices? My own mistakes? From ending up like them? Her cup clattered against the saucer. Dad's firm was drowning in debt. Mom knew it, covered for him, enabled him. Their last fight was about money. I sat back, stunned. The night of the accident? They were driving to a client meeting. Dad was desperate for cash flow. Mom wanted him to come clean, admit the firm was failing. She wiped her eyes roughly. When the police called, all I could think was, I have to do better. I have to protect what's left of our family. By becoming a dictator? By becoming successful. She stood up pacing. Every decision, every sacrifice was to ensure we'd never be vulnerable again. Including stealing my inheritance? Including making sure you didn't waste it on dreams that wouldn't pay the bills. Like helping people? Like throwing away your potential on lost causes. Damien's voice cut through our argument. Are those lost causes? We turned to find him in the doorway, holding a stack of photos, our client success stories. The Ramirez family kept their grandmother's house, he continued, laying down photos. Sarah's daughter is thriving in school. The Thompson kids have health care. That's different, Emma protested. Why? Because it doesn't make millions? I stepped closer to her. You want to talk about waste? Look at yourself, Emma. When's the last time you smiled like this? I held up our childhood photo. She stared at it, then at the client photos. I don't know how to be any other way. Yes, you do. I touched her arm. The sister who worked 3 jobs to keep me in school? She knew exactly who she was. That girl was naive. That girl was brave, Damien said quietly, like her sister is now. Emma sank back into her chair. The partners want answers by tomorrow. So, give them some. I sat beside her. Take the sabbatical, travel, learn who Emma is without the power suits and corner office. And the firm? We'll survive. Maybe even thrive with some fresh perspective. She picked up another photo. Mom and Dad at their last Christmas. They made so many mistakes. Yes, I agreed. And so have we. The question is, what do we do now? She was quiet for a long moment. That legal aid workshop you ran last week, Do you need more volunteers? Always. I might know some lawyers, good ones, looking for meaning beyond billable hours. Damien smiled. We could use the help. Emma stood, gathering her purse. At the door, she turned back. That photo, of us as kids. Could I have a copy? Better idea. I grabbed my keys. Let's get dinner. Somewhere casual with actual people. We can talk about everything. The firm, the workshops, whatever you want. Including this thing between you and him? She nodded toward Damien with a hint of her old sharpness. Baby steps, remember? For the first time in years, she laughed. A real laugh, not her courtroom chuckle. Fine, but I'm not eating anywhere with paper napkins. Progress, not perfection, Damien quipped. As we left, I caught sight of our reflection in the window. Two sisters, walking together instead of one leading and one following. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but at least now we were both choosing to walk it. Phoebe, Emma said as we reached her car, I'm sorry for everything. I know. I linked my arm through hers. Me too. Behind us, Damien locked up the office, the Morrison Community Legal Services sign glowing softly in the evening light. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new cases, new chances to help people. But tonight was about two sisters finding their way back to each other, one baby step at a time. Italian, Emma suggested, as long as it has paper napkins. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Brat. Dictator. This time, we both laughed. The autumn breeze rustled through the courtyard as volunteers set up chairs for our outdoor legal clinic. Emma adjusted a stack of forms, looking almost comfortable in her business casual attire. You're color-coding the intake forms now? I teased. Organization matters, she said, but with a smile. Even in legal aid. Since starting her sabbatical, she'd thrown herself into our community work with the same intensity she'd once reserved for corporate law. The difference was in her eyes. They were clearer now, more present. Nicole rushed over, waving a newspaper. Have you seen this? The headline read, Morrison Sisters Transform Local Legal Scene. Below was a photo of Emma and me at last week's tenant rights workshop. Dad would have had a heart attack, Emma said, tracing the words. Mom would have framed it, I countered. Speaking of framing, Damien appeared with a wrapped package. For your office. Inside was the old photo of Emma and me as kids, professionally restored and framed, alongside a recent picture of us at the clinic. The inscription read, The Morrison Sisters, Then and Now. Emma touched the glass gently. We've come full circle, haven't we? Before I could respond, Omar walked into the courtyard. Emma tensed, but he raised his hands in peace. Just here to help, he said, if you'll have me. I looked at Emma, letting her decide. She straightened her shoulders. Intake forms are color-coded. Try to keep up. He grinned and grabbed a stack of blue forms. The courtyard filled quickly with clients and volunteer lawyers. Emma worked the crowd like she was born to it, her corporate experience lending authority to her compassion. Ms. Morrison, Sarah's daughter ran up, clutching a school paper. I got an A on my essay about community heroes. I wrote about you both. Emma read it, her hands trembling slightly. The Morrison sisters show that being strong doesn't mean being mean. Out of the mouths of babes. Pretty smart kid, Damien said, slipping his arm around my waist. Logan arrived with coffee for everyone. Like old times, he said, except better. Emma watched as Nicole trained new volunteers, her expression thoughtful. I never understood before, she said quietly. The power of helping instead of controlling. Better late than never, I squeezed her hand. Ms. Emma, a client called from the registration table. We need your expertise. She straightened, lawyer mode engaging, but softer now, more human. Duty calls. As she walked away, Damien hugged me from behind. Proud of you both. We're still figuring it out, I admitted. That's what family does. The day flew by in a blur of consultations and coffee. As sunset painted the courtyard golden, Emma and I sat on the steps, watching volunteers pack up. The partners called, she said. They want me back. My heart stopped. And? I told them I needed more time. She smiled. Turns out helping people is addictive. Does this mean you're joining us permanently? Let's say I'm exploring my options. Speaking of which, She nodded toward Damien, who was helping load supplies. When are you going to make that official? When are you going to let me set you up with Omar? She threw a paper clip at me. Baby steps, remember? Always. Sarah approached with more cookies, her daughter in tow. Thank you both, she said, for everything. After they left, Emma stood and brushed off her pants. Want to grab dinner? Somewhere with paper napkins? Actually, I pulled out an old photo. I was thinking we could cook. Mom's lasagna recipe? She stared at the photo. Mom in the kitchen, both of us helping, covered in flour and laughing. I haven't cooked since... I know. Me neither. She took a deep breath. We'll probably mess it up. Probably. The kitchen will be a disaster. Definitely. She linked her arm through mine. Let's do it. As we walked home, the Morrison Community Legal Services sign glowed behind us. Ahead, our house, no longer a symbol of control and resentment, but of reconciliation and new beginnings. Hey, Phoebe, Emma said as we reached the porch. Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for finding your way back. Inside, we pulled out Mom's recipe box, flour soon dusting the counter like snow. And if we both got teary-eyed when the familiar scent filled the kitchen, neither of us mentioned it. Some victories come with fanfare and headlines. Others come quietly, in flour-dusted kitchens and paper napkin dinners, in sisters finding their way back to each other, one recipe, one case, one moment at a time. The lasagna was imperfect, but then again, so were we. And somehow, that made it taste even better.